Welcome to Future Proof Business. Smart strategies, real insights, and tools to lead and scale in a fast-changing world. Let's future-proof your success.
Welcome to the Future Proof Business Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Rosenstein. Today I have the honor of interviewing Jake Smolarek. Jake, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Can you share a little bit about your background and what is it you do today with the audience?
100%. So first of all, I am an entrepreneur. So I run a few small businesses at the moment. And one of my businesses is actually a coaching business. So I'm a business coach, but I am one of those business coaches who already built a few successful businesses in the past. So let's say I know what I'm talking about. Because no disrespect to most of the coaches, but there's a lot of coaches out there who are claiming to be a business coach, but they actually never run a proper business themselves. So I think it's a massive plus to build some other businesses besides coaching business.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that for a minute because as we were talking about in the pre-show, there's a lot of people that call themselves coaches these days. Like anybody can call themselves a coach. Like you don't need a master's degree or PhD to be a coach. I mean, anybody can put on their Instagram profile that they're a coach and start saying, "Oh, I can help you with this and that." A lot of those people, they just have either very little knowledge or no knowledge. I met this one woman that was like a massage therapist, and she's like talks to some of her clients about life. So now she calls herself a coach because she helps some of her massage clients with like life issues. Okay. I mean, maybe she can be a really good coach. But on your website, you mentioned that you've worked with over 1,000 clients, over 27,000 hours of coaching.
Correct. That's a lot of coaching, right?
Yeah, a tremendous amount of coaching. You're doing this since 2008.
Correct.
So that's extremely impressive. I've met a lot of coaches. I met literally hundreds. And most of the coaches I've met, most of them only helped a couple of people. Some helped 10, 20. Very few helped more than 100, very few. And over 1,000, I mean, you're probably like in the top 1% in terms of the amount of clients that you've helped and worked.
Probably, yeah. I'm not very... Yeah, that's true. I mean, one of the things that I did in the past, I built a non-profit organization from 2 volunteers, so me and my business partner, to over 600 volunteers. So I was actually doing quite a lot of coaching in that company, in that nonprofit organization, because I did a lot of coaching for our volunteers and some other people involved as well. So that helped with those numbers, but it was still coaching at the end of the day. So it was very intensive, but it was great. Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned you've owned several businesses, but you weren't born rich. I mean, some people think in order to run a business, you have to have lots of capital. And it's true to a certain extent. I mean, most businesses require certain capital, but you came to the UK, I think you mentioned to me, was it for like 100, 200 pounds, something like that? Very small amount of money.
Yes.
Well, actually, what belief system or internal shifts did you have in order to start your first business?
So I am originally from Poland. So I came to the UK in 2004 with exactly 150 pounds in my pocket, which is about 180 US dollars. So not a lot of money. And by the way, the minute I landed, I bought a bus ticket from Gatwick Airport, which is like the second biggest airport after the Heathrow airports, to a small town in Wales called Abergavenny. And I spent, I think it was like 39 pounds, which was like 1/4 of my fortune. So straight away, I went from 150 to 110 pounds. But, when I came to the UK, yes, I only came with 150 pounds, but I came here with a massive dream that I want to be successful one day. I had no idea what that meant at the time. I was like, success means different things to different people, but I just had that big dream that I just want to be successful. I want to see the world. I want to go to London eventually, which I did. And then, I started looking for mentors and coaches and people who could help. But that's a bit of a longer story.
I mean, it's a very impressive story because like you have almost from like rags to riches. There's very few people do. There's a lot of people that do want to start a business. They talk about it, but they never do it. They're too afraid. What advice to give to people that they want to start a business, they have a 9-to-5 job, but they're too afraid? It's too much time, it's too complicated, requires too much capital.
That's a very interesting question, because I had a lot of people asking me a question, like a lot of British people asking me, or people who just lives in the UK or London, like, how did you do this? Like, you managed to build this and that and nonprofit and other businesses. But the truth is, there's a lot of people who will inherit a house and a little bit of money from parents and grandparents, right? So they've got like an okay life. They don't want to risk. When I came to the UK, I basically had nothing to lose. Like, I had nothing, which means I had nothing to lose at the same time. Losing £100, that's nothing, or £200, that's not a lot. So I was basically free to do whatever I want. And if I fail, I didn't have much to lose. And that's a great thing to be at the situation to be at, because it's just, okay, whatever I do, if you have nothing to lose, you have nothing to lose. A big problem is, if you already have a lot, you are afraid of losing that. You're probably not going to take a lot of actions because it will stop you. So actually coming from nothing or almost nothing is not so bad, because again, you have nothing to lose. So you are not afraid of actually taking actions and doing things.
Have you always been successful in life?
Not at all. I failed probably more times than I succeed. It's funny because most people think that it's just, oh, you try one thing or your first business and you'll be successful. No, it doesn't work this way. Sometimes people will try many things. Sometimes it looks like this: a failure, massive success. And then what most people will say, oh, he or she was lucky. It's not luck, it's perseverance. You just keep doing and keep trying. Because the truth is, you only have to succeed the last time.
I think you mentioned your website that like failure sometimes is a great teacher. Can you maybe share with us like a story about how a failure became like a great teaching lesson for you?
Yes. So when I was about 20 years old, I found myself a first mentor. His name was Patrick. I met him for a coffee in Mayfair, where he lives. I think he still have his apartment there. Mayfair is like one of the most expensive areas in London and on the entire planet, to be honest with you. So that was quite impressive straight away. And basically, I asked this guy, like, hey, can you help me become successful? And we were talking about goals, and he said, you have to build a business. And I was like, cool, yeah, let's build a business. And I said, what kind of a business? And he said, he just looked around and he saw like a construction site, and he said, you have to start construction business. And I was like, okay, cool, I can do that. The only problem is I know nothing about construction. And he said these magical words: build a business, build a system, don't build yourself a job. And I was like, okay, interesting. And then he also said, and also remember that you're going to fail, and you're going to fail quite a few times before you're going to be like properly successful. And I was like, okay, I didn't understand that at the time. Anyway, a few years later, I built my first business, my first construction business, and then I failed big. Like in 2007-8, the financial crisis, I basically lost everything and a little bit more. Some of my clients, they just said to me like, there's £50,000 that we own you. We don't have the money. Goodbye. And that's it. Like everybody lost. And then I remember like today, I called Patrick and I said, I built it as we spoke, and now I lost everything. And he just said, congratulations, start again. That's it. Just start better. You already did it, so you know how to do it. Just do it all over again. And I thought that I failed. And he actually said, I didn't fail. Just get some feedback and move on. And this is where I learned that we're using the wrong F word. It's not failure, it's feedback. Every single time that you fail, you're actually getting a lesson. Not everyone, by the way, but you have the chance to actually learn from it. If you're not going to learn from it, then yeah, you failed. But if you can learn from it, it's not a failure, it's just feedback. And once you collect a lot of feedback, now you can get better. Now you can get to the next level. And then I failed a few more times later on, but it was like playing a video game. When you play a video game, you also fail all the time, but you're not upset about it. You're just like, okay, start all over again. And in business is exactly the same. Okay, you fail. Okay, start all over again. And that's it.
There's some statistic that says 9 out of 10 businesses fail. Why do you think that is? Is it the wrong business strategies, wrong marketing, wrong mindset, or combination of those two?
It's a combination of a lot of things. Different people, different stories. But most of the time, people are just not prepared. They think like, it's a famous saying from one of the, I can't remember the movie. It was like, if you build it, they will come. Not true. If you build it, they might come, but they also might not come. If nobody knows about your business, nobody will come and buy anything. Just because you build it doesn't mean anything. If you build it and then you're very good at branding and marketing and selling and everything else, yes, you might be successful. It's not guaranteed that you're going to be successful, but you're getting closer. So there's loads of things that you have to take care of. You have to prepare. You have to know who's your client or customer, depends, or what you offer. You have to know what are you actually selling, because a lot of people, they don't know what they're selling. It's like, you probably know that McDonald's is not in the business of selling burgers. McDonald's is in a real estate business. And so you have to know what are you selling. You have to take care of marketing and branding, so many different things, which means if you're not good at those things, you have to have someone to help you with, again, selling, branding, marketing, maybe packaging. It depends what business you are in. So you have to create a team of people. You can't build something big on your own. You have to delegate. A lot of entrepreneurs, they're struggling with delegate things. Look at the biggest companies in the world, Amazon, Facebook, or Meta, actually, right? Mark Zuckerberg, he doesn't own 100% of all of Meta, right? He only owns a small piece. I can't remember. It was like 13 or 14%. The same with Jeff Bezos. He doesn't own 100% or 50%. He only owns a small piece. I remember like today, one of my mentors told me something like this. Would you prefer to have 20% of 100 million, or do you want to have 100% of 100,000? And I was like, oh, wow, this is so powerful, because I would much prefer to have a 2% from 100 million, because that's a little bit more than 100K. So yeah, I also say to people, you have to know why you actually starting a business. Because if you're doing this purely for money, the chances that you will fail are quite big. Not 100%, but it's way bigger than if you do it to have freedom or to just do whatever you want to do, or not to have a boss in your life. So you have to have a vision.
So now that you have owned several businesses, what made you decide to go into coaching?
Coaching is very natural to me, to be honest with you. And it always was. Even when I was at the very beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, I had people coming to me for advice. And I was like 22 years old or 23 years old. And I had people in their 40s, 50s coming to me asking like, what about this and what about that? And it always surprised me. It's like, why are you asking me? I should be asking you. But I had that natural talent to actually give feedback and advice to people. And one day I was just like, hey, I'm quite good at it. Maybe I should start charging for it. And this is where my coaching idea just came to life.
So what type of issues do people ask you for that need help with? What type of issues? Is it business related issues, personal related issues in your coaching practice? Both?
It depends. If we're talking about entrepreneurs, for example,
yeah,
the biggest issue is time, or not having enough time. So a lot of people want to talk about time management. But the truth is, we cannot manage time. We can only manage ourselves, because time will just pass. Time will flow. Whatever you do, the time will just pass. So it's not time management. It's management of yourself, how you actually use your time that you have, because we all have 24 hours a day. It's up to you how you use it. So a lot of entrepreneurs, they struggle with that. There's a beautiful book called, I actually have it here, The E-Myth. I'm not sure if you ever heard about it, by Michael Gerber. And the E-myth is actually a shortcut from the entrepreneur myth, because most entrepreneurs, they don't really run businesses. They actually in a cage, in a business cage, like they trap. They have to work 7 days a week. And they don't have any holidays. They don't even make any money at the end of the day. Most business owners, they make less money than they could make if they have a job. So sometimes the question is, can anyone run a business? Technically, yes, but some people are just not built to run a business, because especially at the very beginning, it requires a lot of time and a lot of effort to make sure that this business will become successful.
So you mentioned that that you're a coach that doesn't tolerate excuses. I mean, do a lot of your clients that you work with, since you worked over 1,000, do you find that a lot of people have excuses when you start coaching them? Oh, I'm not smart enough, or oh, they don't have time, or this marketing stuff was too complicated, or
Yeah.
Why is it so effective for your clients to make sure that they don't have excuses?
I mean, a lot of people have those limiting beliefs that, oh, I'm not smart enough, or I have people coming to me like, oh, I wasn't born with a success chromosome or something like that. No, that's not true, especially in a business, because all business skills are learnable. Let me say that again. All business skills are learnable. It just takes time to learn it. So if you say, oh, I'm not good at sales, or I'm not good at marketing, or I'm not good at lead generation, you're not good at it now, because you can get better. It just takes time, which means don't find yourself any excuses like, oh, I'm not good at it. Ask, how can I get better? Or if you don't want to get better, how can I delegate, or to whom I can delegate to make sure that I don't use that excuse anymore? Because finding excuses, it's easy. Finding solutions is also very easy, but somehow most people, they much prefer to be busy finding excuses rather than finding solutions. So when I work with people, I always say to them, like, stop finding excuses and let's start finding solutions. Because if there's a problem, there's a solution as well. But yeah, a lot of people, they have that kind of thing. They always find some kind of excuse. They're like, oh my God, I don't want to do it. I don't like doing it. No, it's not that you don't like doing it. It's just like you are afraid that you're going to make a mistake. Anything that you want to, if you've never done marketing before, you're not going to like it at the beginning, because you don't know how to do it. Once you learn how to do it, you're going to love it because you know how to do it. It's like with everything.
So what do you think is a common blind spot for a lot of entrepreneurs that you've worked with?
They think that they will do everything in the best way possible. They will say, oh, I'll do it myself because I tried to delegate in the past and it didn't work out. But the truth is, you can delegate everything. And the second truth is, there are so many people out there that they can do it so much better than you, that you because you can probably delegate almost everything, if not everything, especially when you're running a business. You can, especially today, when we use AI agents like ChatGPT or Gemini or Perplexity, you can delegate a lot to AI. You can delegate to your friends and colleagues. You can delegate to your parents. You can almost delegate to everything to anyone. So, yeah, the big mistake is that a lot of entrepreneurs, they do not delegate things, especially at the very beginning, because at the beginning, they just want to save money. They will be like, I need a new website, so I will build it myself and I will learn a new skill. Like, why do you need that new skill if you're only going to build one website? You're going to waste your time. Just delegate to someone else. And if people say, I don't have the money, then find someone who will do it for free or almost for free, because they're building the portfolio and they need the portfolio. So they need some, and if you only have to pay $50 or $100 or $200 for a new website, that's not a lot of money. If you really don't have any money, then find someone who is willing to do it for free, because it will take your time to find someone like this. But there are people out there who are really want to build a portfolio and they will agree to do it for free or almost for free.
Now you have something called the Vision GPS system. Can you
Correct.
maybe explain, like, why is creating a vision so important? You said there's a lot of entrepreneurs, even business owners, that like, I just want to sell something. They don't really think about, do they even need a vision? Why is vision so important?
First of all, vision is different to goals, because sometimes people, they mistake having vision and having goals. So my Vision GPS is, the GPS, it's an acronym from goals, planning process, and systems. But first of all, you need to have a vision. A vision is acting like your destination. A vision is your destination, but funny enough, you will never get there because your vision will be changing all the time. But you have to go where you're going, because if you do not know where you're going, any road will take you there. Basically, if you don't know where you're going, you will be drifting in life. You will go a little bit in this direction, a little bit in this direction. It just doesn't matter what you do, because you don't have the destination. So you just do whatever you want, but you're probably not going to be very successful. Listen, all very successful people, I don't know, Arnold Schwarzenegger, they all talking about having a vision. Arnold is, you have to have a vision. But he's always saying that. Have a vision first, because once you know where you're going, all your decisions will be so much easier. Because, okay, let's say if you want to travel from Chicago to New York, first of all, you know that you're going to New York. Or if you don't know that you're going to New York, you only know that we need to go this direction. That's good enough to start with. You don't have to have your full address at the very beginning. The destination as a New York is enough to start with. Even if you don't have the New York, just having a direction is way more, it's enough than having the full address. Eventually, you will have to have the full address. Where is exactly precisely that you're going? But you can have it later. You can polish that vision with time. But you have to know which direction you are going. Well, at least know the destination. If you know your vision 100% from the very beginning, that's amazing. That's very helpful. Most people don't have it. Most people, they have to polish that vision for some time. But once you have your either full vision or destination, or at least direction, now you can start using the GPS. The GPS, G for goals. You have to have goals. Short-term goals, long-term goals, but you have to have goals. Ideally, you want to have SMART goals. When I work with coaching clients, or when I meet with some prospects, especially people who will never become my coaching clients, sometimes I ask, okay, do you have some goals? Oh, yeah, I have loads of goals. Are your goals SMART? And they will be like, what do you mean? First of all, SMART, which means specific, measurable, attainable. You have to have a deadline. So having SMART goals is important. A lot of people, they heard about SMART method, but they don't really use it. But it's so helpful to have SMART goals. And then you're moving to P, which is planning process. Not just the plan, but the planning process. The difference between a plan and a planning process is plan is fixed, planning process is flexible. So the P, the planning process, I based on an excellent book called The Art of War by Sun Tzu. It's a very old book, but it's still relevant. Basically, you have to know what's going on so you can adjust to the situation. And then S in the Vision GPS, it's systems. You have to have different kind of systems to help you to get to that destination, to that vision. Like in a business world, the simplest system could be Google Ads, for example. It's a system that works 24/7. If it's optimized well, it just works with or without you, even when you sleep. That's why you need systems to help you to get you to your destination, even when you sleep. That's why you need systems. And when you have all of it, when you have a vision, goals, planning process, and systems, it's almost guarantee that you will get to your destination.
Can you ever explain a little bit, like, how do you help either business owners, or other businesses, or entrepreneurs go from a chaotic thing where things are very disorganized into having a very organized systems in place? Do you have a methodology? Do you assess their business, or this is the type of business you have based on this? Is it different, like, depending on the industry? Do they need different systems, or the size of the company, if it's small or large?
It depends from client to client, But sometimes what I do is I will ask my client, okay, so you have your to-do list. Let's go through it. And more often than not, my client will say, everything is urgent on my list. And I will be like, okay, let's double check. And it turns out that 10 things, let's say they have 20 things on the to-do list, and they say like everything is urgent. And from looking at that list very quickly, I would say like half of those things, they definitely not urgent. They look urgent, but they're not urgent. They fake urgent. And then we analyze and it will be like, okay, yeah, this one is urgent because, for example, I'll give you an example. So I have a client who is an accountant and he would say, oh, this is urgent because if we're not going to submit that on time, we will have to pay a fee. Okay, the client, it's a 25 million turnover client and the fee is £100 or $100. I was like, okay, it's urgent, but £100 or $100, it's not a lot of money, which means like we can pay the fine. It's fine. Like, for example, in London, so if you want to park your car somewhere in central London and you have, because you have to, like, I used to run construction business. When we had to park our vans, it was cheaper to get a fine, £65 fine, and just keep parking it for the whole day rather than pay per hour, which would cost us 3 times more because parking in central London, it's extremely expensive. Sometimes something might think that it is urgent, but it's not. Sometimes things on your to-do list might look like they important, but they're not. More often than not, I will use the Eisenhower method, the 4 quadrants, to help clients understand what is important, what is urgent, because also there are things that should be on your to-do list, which are not urgent. They definitely important, but they don't look like they're important. For example, reading the right book. For example, reading the E-Myth if you are an entrepreneur. It's one of the must-read books. So it varies from person to person, but more often than not, I will sit down with my clients and I go through their to-do list to figure it out which is important. Because again, let's say if they've got 20 things on the to-do list, I would say you can probably delegate about 80% of it. Or if not delegate, either remove it. I use the ABCDE method, which is A, it's something very important. You have to do it. B is also very important, but it's not as important as A. So you don't do any Bs if you still have As on your to-do list. C is something very nice to do, but you don't have to do it. And then E is something that you eliminate, and D is something that you delegate. And there's probably a lot on your to-do list that you can delegate.
So like you mentioned before, you owned like multiple businesses and you scaled them and you're very successful, including the nonprofit. What's your approach to scaling a business without getting burned out? Like you said, like one of the biggest issues you find that business owners, entrepreneurs have is that there's not enough time. So how do you scale in a practical way that's not like in the cause complete burnout where you start working like 100 hours a week and it just becomes unbearable?
I use 80-20 rule, so Pareto principle, with regards to, for example, clients. I will not work with everyone. I will be very selective. And I started using that method a very long time ago in my construction business. At the very beginning, I would say yes to almost every client. But the truth is, the clients are not equal. There will be a client that you will make £1,000, and there will be a client that you will make £10,000. And it turns out that they will take exactly the same amount of time and energy to get that client or to have that client. So I would say not all clients are equal, and you have to work. I use 80-20 rule, which means that I will only work with 20% of the clients who will make me 80% of the money. And they will only use 20% of my time, which means I'm making more money. And at the same time, I'm using less time. And at the end of the day, everybody are a winner and everybody are happy because it's like a win situation. I'm winning, my customers winning, and his customers are winning. And because I learned that if you want to sell a car, for example, it's easier to sell a $300,000 car rather than a $3,000 car. Because, how to say, those cheap customers or cheap clients, they will be asking thousands of questions. And what about this? And what about that? And how about this? And then an expensive client will be like, I like the color. That's the money. Goodbye. Easy sell. Everything is easy. So when I work with my clients, if possible, I always say, go premium. If you can, go premium. Have premium services and always deliver premium. That's the most important thing. Be premium, deliver premium, get premium clients or customers, and your life will be easy. Unfortunately, most people who are starting a business, and also a lot of people who are already running businesses, they think everyone is their customer. Everyone is their client, which is not true, because you can either be a McDonald's or you can be a free Michelin star restaurant, but you can't be both at the same time.
That's a good point. I mean, I like what you're saying because, it makes a lot of sense. Having something that's more specific and niche, because you're catering to your audience that have so much money, they're not going to care so much about every little detail. Some of them may. There are some. But the fact is, they don't care if they lose the money because there's so much money to begin with. It's no big deal. Versus someone, like you said, that has $100 in their pocket. They're going to ask a million questions or be very frugal how they spend that money. That's not always the case. I met some people that are very poor and they spend money like there's no tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
So you also mentioned earlier that you have a marketing agency. Are you finding that there are any particular marketing strategies that are working better than others at this current time in 2025?
Interesting question, because anything can work. Anything can work well if it's done well. For example, I don't know, SEO. If you do SEO like you did it in 2010, it's probably not going to work. If you do SEO like you did it in 2020, it's probably also not going to work, because SEO is evolving like everything. Same like with Google Ads 20 years ago and 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even 2 years ago, it's a completely different thing. So it doesn't matter what it is. Again, you have to, if you use the Vision GPS, you have to use the planning process. You have to adapt to everything. SEO is changing. Now it's not just search engine optimization, for example, but it's search everywhere optimization. Now people use more and more AI agent like ChatGPT or Perplexity and others, right? Which means you have to do SEO in such a way that you will end up in AI overview, that you will end up being suggested by ChatGPT to other people. Like myself, I'm having people coming to me because my name was suggested by Perplexity or ChatGPT as one of the best coaches or business coaches in London. Because if you would be based in the UK and you would Google business coach London, I will be at the top 3. Sometimes I'm number 1, sometimes I'm number 2, sometimes I'm number 3, but I'm not dropping from top 3. And that's where people click. And this is where most of the time Google AI overview will take your info and put it out there as well. Because 10 years or 15 years ago, if you Google something, on the first page of Google, you would only see 10 results. Now you will see AI overview, you will see a map, you will see the people also ask thing. So there's the organic results are being pushed so much further down. It's SEO still works, but it's just evolving, it's changing. So you have to be very smart about it. And the same like with anything else, including Google Ads, including Meta Ads, everything is evolving. So you have to be on top of it, because if you are not on top of it, you're going to lose.
So there's a lot of people out there that want to start a side hustle, and obviously you're familiar with that. What advice can you give to people that, that want to start a side hustle, but they're not sure if they should get started with it?
Just do it. That's the thing. Don't think too much about it. because the chances are that the business idea that you have now is going, the business that you will start as your side hustle, it's probably not going to be the business that you're going to be running in the next 5, 10, 20 years. It's probably going to change. So it doesn't matter what it is, just start something, because the first business, hopefully not, touch wood, you will not fail, but you will probably fail because you will make a lot of mistakes. So it doesn't really matter what it is, because it's a journey. You're learning business skills. You learn how to sell. You learn how to generate leads. You learn how to build websites, how to promote your business, etc., etc. Obviously, it will help if you like what you do. But also, you definitely need to like it. You have to at least have some knowledge about it. Because if you, for example, if you knew nothing about your business, the chances that you will fail are quite big. I was a little bit lucky when I started my construction business. I was lucky in a way that I had nothing to lose. So I was basically doing anything and everything. I was crazy about it. I was a little bit mad. There's a great saying, I think it was Joe Rogan who said it. It goes, madness and genius are next door neighbors and they borrow each other sugar. Because you have to be a little bit crazy. You have to be a little bit mad, and you have to be like relentless at the very beginning. If you are not, you're probably going to fail, because at the very beginning, it takes tremendous amount of time and effort to start a business. I mean, today is a little bit easier. Today, just doing a research, it's so much easier, because you will go to ChatGPT and you will ask something. And if you ask the right question, and if you ask in the right way, you don't have to do a research in 8 hours. You can do it in 15 minutes. But using ChatGPT or any AI agent is basically a skill of delegation. But you also have to do it properly, because unfortunately, most people, if not 95% of people, they're not using ChatGPT or any AI agent properly.
So making a website about there's no 0% days. What do you mean by that? What are some real life applications by no 0% days?
So this partly comes from a Japanese philosophy called Kaizen. And Kaizen means everyday improvements, not like a lot of improvements, but very little improvement, but every single day. And my no 0% days, it's not the same, but it's similar. It's based on it. It's basically means that when you have a day that you just wake up and you feel like you want to do absolute nothing, you just don't feel like doing anything, push yourself and do at least something. And this rule doesn't mean that, hey, have 1% days every day for your entire life. No, that's not the thing. Give 100% most of your days. Give 80% if you can. 70, 60% are also good. Just make sure that you don't have 0% days. Just do something. Because, for example, if you feel like doing nothing, and then you will actually send 2 or 3 emails, or you will actually go to the gym, not for 2 hours or not for an hour, but just for 15 minutes, just by going there for 15 minutes, the chances are that you will stay for 30 minutes, not for 15. If you go there, you want to just send 2 emails and you will end up sending 7 emails. It's a big, the probability is quite big that you're going to end up doing just a little bit more. So the whole concept is just do every single day, every day, something that will get you closer to your vision. But the thing is, if you have a vision and your vision is exciting, you're probably not going to have a lot of 0% days anyway. Because if your vision is exciting, if your vision is, wow, I really want to achieve that, and it's great, it's the vision itself is going to push you or pull you, however you want to say it. It's just because you want to achieve it. But if your vision is not exciting or you don't feel good about it, it's probably not your vision. You're probably using someone else's vision. If someone told you on Instagram that you want a Lamborghini, and I had people like that coming to me like, hey, I want to buy myself a Lamborghini. Have you ever sit in a Lamborghini? Have you ever driven a Lamborghini? Oh, no. So how do you know that you want that car? Because unfortunately, there's a lot of people who they have dreams, but they're not their dreams. unfortunately.
So why do you think that people that are like elite performers or people who are very successful still need coaching versus people who are just like new, like they're still like a new entrepreneur, they're trying to start up, it's like they may not know what they're doing. I understand somebody who's like a new entrepreneur, they may need a coach to explain this is a proper way to run a business and give them tips. But why do people that are still extremely successful, high performance people that aren't ready, why do they still need coaching?
Let me ask you this question. When you watch like European football, soccer, or when you watch American football, right? You cannot become the best in half a year or 1 month or even a year. It takes time, right? And for example, I'm a big fan of soccer or European football, the real football, by the way. You know, every single team, they always have a coach. They always have a manager, right? In America, it's called coach. Why? All of those players, they know how to play football and they've got a coach. Because every single player, when they on the field, they only see this much. But the coach see everything. And coach always give feedback. If you want to become great, if you want to become one of the greatest of all, it takes steps. You go from level to another level and you can't really skip levels. Yes, some people might skip 1 or 2, but you can't skip 5 or 10 levels at the same time. Getting better takes time. And coaches, there are people who are actually giving you feedback to go to the next level and then work on yourself and then to go to the next level, because there's always the next level. There's always someone who will beat you. So this game never stops. The game of getting better never stops. Look at the great example it still is, Michael Jordan, one of the greatest of all the time, if not the greatest NBA player, right? When he was playing basketball, he would win a trophy, he would win a championship, and straight away he would be like, okay, next one. He wasn't even thinking, he wasn't even enjoying the winning, he was already thinking about the next one. This is a winning attitude. This is how people get better. This is how it's just you already thinking about the next level. What can I do to get better? And this is where coaches, great coaches coming in. Yes, to help you get to the next level, because there's always the next level.
So how do you in today's world with like cell phones and social media, people are constantly being distracted. Like every time you get on your cell phone, there's either ads popping up or something like a social media feed. And now a lot of people are on multiple social media platforms. And it seems like very easily that people get distracted. How do you keep people like focused in their business to be successful?
You see, now we're going back to why having a vision is so important. If you don't have a vision, it doesn't matter what you do. So even if you're wasting your time, it's just like, it doesn't matter. And you don't even see it. But when you have a vision and your vision is very exciting, even if you caught yourself being on TikTok or scrolling Instagram, after a few minutes, you'll be like, okay, this is not helpful. This is not taking me closer to my vision. Most people who are successful, they have that discipline because they know what they want. People who don't know what they want, it doesn't really matter if I spend 30 minutes, 2 hours, even the whole day on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or anything, because there's no goals, there's no vision, there's nothing to aim for. But successful people, they know what they want. So basically, they get rid of distractions. Sometimes I get asked during coaching or podcasts, if you have distractions, what do you do with your distractions? How do you get rid of distractions? You just get rid of distractions. That's it. If you spend too much time on Facebook, get rid of Facebook or install one of those softwares that will block Facebook for 8 hours during the day. Or if you're using on your phone, just get rid of the application, whatever it is, whatever the distraction is. If you live with parents and you want to run a business and your mom or dad is taking your time all the time, go to the coffee shop or somewhere else. So you basically get rid of distractions. If you have any distractions, just try to either eliminate them or make sure that you will limit them as much as you can. This is the simplest thing to do. Most people are like, oh, there's so many distractions. No, it's you allowing them to distract you.
Oh, thank you very much. I mean, some of your clients I refer to as like a miracle worker. Can you ever share like some of your transformational stories of some of your clients that you help work with? Do you have any interesting stories about how you help somebody like either like in a bad situation or they were in a good situation but even got better?
Oh, because I've got plenty of stories. Like I on the entrepreneurial side, I remember I had this one guy. He came to me a few years ago. He was running a pretty big company, over 60 million turnover. And he said, oh, this is what we do. This is how much staff do we have. And I said, whoa, how much staff do you have? We have this amount of people. And straight away, I was like, that's way too many. You're probably not using any this business is definitely not automatic. It's like you just have too many people. You're still running that business like 50 years ago. And in about 6 months time, I helped him completely change the entire business. We made the business, if not automatic, some part of it was semi-automatic. Unfortunately, we have to get rid of some people. It is what it is, right? But suddenly that business went from about 60 million turnover to over 100 million turnover in basically 6 months' time. On the other hand, I remember I had this great client. She was a lawyer. She was working for a big corporation. She did enjoy it, but it wasn't great. And I remember in 3 months' time, I said, okay, what's your dream job? And she said, I would love to work for Google. Okay, let's do that. And basically, we come with a vision, we come up with a plan. And in 3 months' time, she went from working for that corporation to working for Google, and she was earning 120K a year. And then she went from 120K to 238K a year in basically few months' time by simply changing her mindset. Because
Testimonial to how good coaching you really do, because that's amazing. I mean, Google, it's one of the top companies in the world, and it's extremely competitive to get a job at Google.
Oh yeah. But I remember,
do you have any inside connections at Google? Like, did you just call up and say, hey, get away?
Yeah, I mean, we started changing her LinkedIn. There was a lot of things involved. It wasn't a miracle. It looks like miracle from outside. It was like, wow, suddenly she got a job for Google. Like, it looks like from outside, but we did a lot of interior work. So we work on her LinkedIn. We work on her interview skills. I remember like today that for her, one of the biggest problem was asking for more money, because she was earning £120,000 a year. And I said, no, someone who will be interviewing for this job, it should be 250. And for her, it was like almost impossible to ask for this amount of money for her. I mean, she basically told me like, you fucking insane. I can't ask for this amount of money. But somehow through coaching and working on her mindset, we managed to change that belief. She didn't believe it 100%. She said, I believe about 80% that I can do it. But then she was offered to have an interview at Google somehow, because one of the recruiters found her on LinkedIn, not by luck, but because we changed the LinkedIn in a certain way. And when she went for the interview for Google, she was prepared. She was very well prepared. And basically she said, okay, how much can you offer? And they started playing that tennis game, or how much do you want to earn? And she said, how much can you offer? And then she said, okay, with my skills and what I can bring to the table, I want to earn 250K. And the manager and the person who was interviewing her said, okay, I need to have a word with my manager. And he said, the maximum we can offer is 238. And she said, oh, okay, I will accept that. And I was like, oh, great. So we want to have you. But the thing is, if she would say 120 or 140 or 160, for them, it would look too junior and she would probably never get a job. But because she got that mindset and she was confident that she can get it, she got the job. And that's why she went from not only doubling or almost doubling her salary, but to have a dream job.
Oh, it's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. I wanted to ask you about something you mentioned before. I mean, because of AI, a
Mm.
lot of businesses are now automating a lot of processes, which it's becoming almost like a revolution in our world. But a lot of things that you said, like, had to be
Mm.
done by hand, by manually done by people, or not being automated because of AI, robotics, software, et cetera, et
Yes.
cetera. And some people say that 90% of jobs are going to go away in the next 20, 30 years because of this AI and automation and robots. So how do you think the people can pivot living in this new world of automation where it's going to be, like you said, there's a lot of different changing your mindset to get a job, but what are you going to do if in 20, 30 years from now, where 90% of jobs are now automated?
I mean, look, the same thing happened when cars were introduced over 100 years ago. People were like, oh my God, what's going to happen with horses? They become obsolete, but some jobs disappeared, some jobs were created. Then exactly the same thing happened when computers were introduced. Oh my God, people are going to lose jobs, etc. Yes, some jobs disappeared, and then new jobs came up. Exactly the same thing happened when internet was introduced. People were like, oh my God, people are going to lose jobs. And yes, some we lost some jobs they do not exist anymore, but the new jobs were created because it's exactly the same thing will happen with AI. Yes, some people will be replaced with AI, but new jobs will be created. Probably the jobs we don't even know that they will exist. Now they will be created. So there's nothing to worry about. You can only worry about if you're not going to adjust to what's going on, if you're not going to learn at least a little bit about AI and how to use it and stuff like that. So if you are flexible and if you can adjust, you will be fine. But if you still have very old thinking, you're not going to be fine. But we'll be okay. The world is changing and the world is changing fast. But if you don't want to stay behind, you have to keep learning, you have to keep adjusting the sails.
You maybe explain to like the audience about your different offerings. Like, how do you help like business owners and entrepreneurs? Like, what are your different offerings?
It depends from person to person. I have quite a few of my frameworks that I created, so I will always use one of my frameworks. For example, the Vision GPS framework, right? If someone has my vision is not 100% clear, then we will work on that vision to make sure that we know where we're going. It's so much easier to make decisions once your vision is at least clearer. I always offer a free initial consultation to anyone who will come to me. Obviously, I'm quite selective. So if someone has no vision and they have no idea what they want to do and they want to start a business but have no idea what kind of a business, we probably are not a good match because I'm a premium coach. I'm an advanced coach. But if you already have a business, for example, and more or less you know what to do, but you're struggling a little bit, we all have problems. I will offer a free initial consultation session, which sometimes takes 60 minutes, 90 minutes, sometimes 2 hours, sometimes even over 2 hours. And we will go through everything. And believe me, I had people coming for an initial consultation session, and after 2.5 hours during the initial consultation session, they will be like, "Oh my God, that's it. I know what to do now. I don't even need you," and I'm happy for them. And after that initial consultation, you can decide, "Hey, I really like you. I want to work with you. It makes sense." Or sometimes just, "Oh, I don't know. I don't like you," and it's fine. Probably, if we don't like each other, we're not going to spend 2 hours. Probably it's going to finish after 15 or 30 minutes. If it's not a good match, it's not a good match.
So, do you have any final words you'd like to share with the audience before we wrap up our conversation today?
I mean, if you're going to share that episode with people who are entrepreneurs, business owners, or who would love to start their own side hustle or their own business, I always say start and learn how to delegate as much as you can from the very beginning. Be very creative and remember that you can delegate almost everything. Sure, there are things that you have to do, but learn how to delegate and learn how to delegate from the very beginning. There's a great book by Timothy Ferris called The 4 Hour Work Week. It's a very old book. I think he wrote it and published it in 2007. So it's 18 years old book, but it's still, the message, it's still great because the whole book is basically talking about like delegate and delegate anything and everything.
Jake, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing us about with your experiences and all your wisdom. I mean, obviously you're very successful, not only in running businesses, but as a coach and helping other people with their businesses as well. So thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing with us.
Thank you very much for having it.